It took me very many years, perhaps decades, to realise the prevalence of psychopaths in our society and what predatory things they really are. Leo Varadkar is a psychopath, but one of his saving graces is the fact that he's also mentally subnormal. This means that he really, in effect, has an intellectual age of about 11 or 12. I'd go further, say 9. If you look at his reactions to things and how he responds by instinct, his behaviour is that of a 9-year-old boy. And not even a very bright 9-year-old boy, but one of those who you'd have in a class you'd always have to keep an eye out on to make sure he didn't get near the chemicals or the hamster or anything. Same with Simon Harris. And Simon Harris's brother is certified as mentally subnormal, so this is why they gave him a big plum job heading an NGO for other people who are similar to him. I saw in today's London Times, which is a good deal more out of the Matrix than anything in Ireland, that a teacher called Will Knowland from Eton has been sacked for putting a video on YouTube that he refused to take down, dealing with the issue of masculinity. I watched the video, and I'm not suggesting that I make any claims or that I would consider it to be perfect in terms of its production standard or voiceover or that, but I've copied it myself. I have my own file copy of it now, and I'm going to put it up on my YouTube in due course, because I think the notion of cancelling somebody or censoring somebody is so wrong in that context that I wish to reproduce Mr. Knowland's video. We are all in recovery. I put that in a video the other night, and it elicited an incredible direct message response. I'm getting easily 500 direct messages a day, if you include emails in that as well. So contacts a day, I'd be easily getting 500 a day. I hope people will appreciate that I cannot respond to more than 2 or 3. So if I'm not getting back to you, please don't take offence. Psychopaths are predatory, they have to be, and I've been in workplaces with psychopathic school principals, and then you must understand or begin to examine how a psychopathic school principal got into a workplace where he or she might be in charge of children. But that's another day's story. Psychopaths can spot somebody who is more talented, competent and honest than they are. And what they do is they attack them. They don't know anything else. If they weren't to attack them, they wouldn't be a psychopath. You must always remember that. So if you take Varadkar, or you take certain school principals or colleagues I've worked with in teaching, they saw something in me that triggered them. I'm thinking back to when I was in school as well. Had I known then what I was dealing with, I would have been better equipped, if you like, or better experienced to deal with them. I dealt with them anyway. I did my best because I trusted my instincts. But I would have liked to have known at the time that I was exactly precisely what type of entity I was dealing with. I know now. It's like they live. You get the black glasses, and then after you've got the black glasses a while, you don't even need to wear them. That's what's happened. That's what's come. Varadkar, the moment I set eyes on Varadkar, I just said, no, that's a portal of blackness. That's wrong there. A wrong on. And other questions have arisen, and they're arising more pertinently now than ever, but why Varadkar gets a complete, total and utter free pass from the Irish media. Now, Varadkar will end up being collateral in all of this, because one of Varadkar's, it comes with his condition really, one of Varadkar's problems is that he is indiscreet. I can tell you from personal experience that loose lips cost lives. That's a metaphor, of course. But if you are indiscreet, that will come back to you more than can be measured. There are 2 reasons for that. 1, nobody likes a gossip, but 2, you have to be silenced. If you are going around saying things that are incriminating other people, eventually you will be silenced in some way or other. Varadkar is indiscreet. He was showing off in the White House and talking about how he had interfered in a public planning process in County Clare, I think. He also now has been discovered to have interfered in public selection process, something to do with health. Don't forget that he was health minister, because he's a doctor. Leo's a lad, yeah, and he's a doctor. This is that bourgeois thing I'm talking about. Because he's a doctor, a certain crowd of people go weak at the knees. Yeah, great, he's a doctor. I have 3 university degrees. Nobody goes weak at the knees for me. I went to Trinity, for goodness sake. Nobody goes weak at the knees for me. I enjoyed university. But, wokeness was beginning to infest and pollute the place by the time I got out. I certainly don't miss it now. Getting on to something else. I stopped secondary teaching in 2012. I think that was a merciful release for me, to be honest with you, because nowadays I just couldn't teach in a secondary school. Somebody had a good tweet a while ago. Let's think of all those teachers at home. Let's spare a thought for all those teachers at home preparing their worksheets on racism and climate change. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be able to teach that. I wouldn't, from a point of view of conscience, I wouldn't be able to teach that. Will Knowland, I don't know him. He's obviously a principled man. He's obviously courageous. Good for him. I wish him every success, Will Knowland. Look him up. Look what's happening there. Look how Eton tried to smear him. Look at how they attacked his good name in Eton. I hope he takes every single one of them down with him. I wish him the best luck in the world. Will Knowland. Look it up. Look it up. Look up his video. I've actually linked his YouTube video in my description here. But as I said, I've downloaded my own copy of it. So just in case YouTube decides to nix him, which they do, we're ready. But anyway, I couldn't teach in a secondary school now. I couldn't do it because, what would I be saying to them? I've met kids who are in secondary. Last week I was in Tesco. The sane Tesco. The one full of sane human beings. I was in there. And the checkout girl, I got talking to her. It's always nice to talk to people if they have a spark of humanity in their eyes. It's nice to get to engage. We were talking about the masks, and she said in no uncertain terms, in very clear and blunt language, exactly what she thought of the masks. I then talked to her. I said, it's been very hard for all of us. She said, I'm in school. Really? I thought she was older. She said she was 16 and she was in 6th year in a particular school that she named. Oh, I know that school. And she said that what has happened in the school is that the first years in that school have gone manic since last September. Well, guys, I could have told you that. And what we're dealing with here is long-term deterioration of our public school system. Until relatively recently, Ireland had a very good public school system in comparison to other countries. There wasn't enough emphasis on literacy from the start. But the kids come into first year, and there's masks, and there's social distancing, and there's nonsense and carry on that a crowd of kids who are 11, 12 or 13 years of age cannot reasonably be expected to comprehend. So, this is what's going to happen. If I was teaching in a secondary school now, I would be saying to them all what I said to that girl. I said to her, what do you want to do? Well, she said, I'm going to be doing my leaving cert this year. Don't do it, I said. She said, I want to do nursing. Oh, I said, don't do that either. Why not? She said. I said, because the nurses have been taken for a ride. Particularly in Ireland, where they were asked to come back to help out, and then when they came back, there was nothing for them. That was Harris and Varadkar did that. There was nothing for them. I could have told them that, don't come. Never give a sucker an even break. And I'm not sneering at those poor nurses who came back here and who were taken advantage of, just for Varadkar to have another photo shoot or some spin. Oh, hey, we're bringing the nurses back. But you have to read the situation, read the room. I read the room as a teacher. I realised that we were being taken advantage of. I saw what was going on. And I put my own interests first. Sorry, guys, I'm not going to be altruistic. I remember the chairman of a school board said, he said, can we not appeal to you, he said to me, to think of the children, to think of education. I said, would that be before or after my own protection? He didn't answer. This is how they gaslight you and bully you. So I come first. When I'm in my classroom, I come first. Because if I'm not in charge of the classroom and if I'm not safe and confident in there, nobody's going to be. I'll get out, I'll walk. If I was teaching in a secondary school now, what I would say to the kids is, listen, folks, you don't need to be doing a leaving cert or going to university to do a degree in Dolly Mixture Studies. What you need, or 57 genders, what you need to be doing is you need to be fighting the system that has stolen all your prospects anyway. You've nothing to lose. Be courageous. Be like Will Knowland. He's full of courage. I admire that. I admire courage. Gemma O'Doherty, John Waters, a lot of the freetards, they're full of courage. Pity it's wrongly directed with so many of those ones. Not Will Knowland, of course. But courage, boys and girls, courage. You see it in the middle class schools that you teach in, you know, and I don't mean the upper middle class schools, I mean the lower middle class into working class schools. They've got no prospects, nothing for them. Do a leaving cert, go to college, don't give me that one. You guys need to start learning how to fight the system. Get literate, learn how the law works, learn how to read and interpret law, learn your rights under arrest. Learn how to represent yourself in court. That'll teach you more than anything about, 57 genders and Greta Thunberg. Forget about that. I couldn't teach in a secondary now. I wouldn't do it conscionably. My conscience wouldn't let me teach in a secondary school now, what with all the stuff that I've seen and the stuff that I know. You know? Oh. Psychopaths know something. Varadkar knows it. Harris knows it. Murphy knows it. Stephen Donnelly knows it. Tony Holohan knows it. They know that they are below par. And they're terrified of the likes of us who are on to them. John Williams and RTE, They know that they're rumbled. The biggest trick and secret that has been hidden for us. David Icke talks about the biggest secret. Yes, okay, David. But I'll talk about the biggest secret. The biggest secret is the existence and prevalence of psychopaths and the fundamental nature of what a psychopath is. Once you've hacked that, you're onto them. Whoa, once you've done that, they're on the back foot because you can spot them. It's the black glasses, the red pill. You've got them. But we are all recovering. Some at a different pace from others and some in a different way from others. But we are victims of psychopaths. We are all victims of psychopaths. That cycle, the Second World War, the First World War, communism, it's happening again. And what do you have to do? Well, you have to stay courageous first and foremost. So that woman in Yorkshire, Angela, she's not wearing a mask. That's courageous, that's enough. What did I say in counterculture? If you're not wearing a mask, you're in the counterculture. Easy, simple, it's all done. You don't need to do anything else. You go to your shops and you go to the garage to fill up the car with diesel, or you go to the chemist and you're not wearing a mask, you're in the counterculture already. You don't need to do another thing. You're fixed up. And you don't even need to be conscious of it. It's these little things that matter. This is why the psychopaths hate that. That's also why the psychopaths went for the mask scam, because it's little things that matter. That's what you're dealing with. There's a saying I love, and it's a serious saying. It'll be all right in the end. And I believe it. I believe it very sincerely. It will be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, that means that it's not the end.